Good day, and thank you for joining the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for today's webinar about our multilingual resources. My name is Shaba Nassar. I am with the Office of Public Engagement and Community Liaison, which promotes dialogue between the nonprofit sector and the CFPB to inform our policy work. I am joined by my colleagues, Carmen Cruz with our Office of Financial Education, and Ina Cucaranes with our Office of Fair Lending. I'm also joined by Gio Wheeler with our Office of Community Affairs. Throughout the next hour, we will provide an overview and share where to find our various resources for limited English proficient and multilingual consumers, resources related to coronavirus, and those regarding lending discrimination. We will then share our practitioner toolkit for financial education called Your Money, Your Goals. Finally, we will conclude with the question and answer session. To submit questions, please utilize either the Q&A or the chat box, select all panelists, and then click Send Question. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Today's webinar does not constitute legal interpretation, guidance, or advice of the CFPB. Our presenters' opinions or views may not represent the Bureau's views. Also, please note that this webinar is for educational purposes only. It's closed to the press, and it is being recorded. For anyone requiring closed captioning, please refer to the instructions in the chat box. Next slide. For those just learning about the Bureau, we like to share the CFPB's mission and vision. As you can see here, we strive to make consumer financial markets work for consumers, for providers that are responsible, and the economy as a whole. We work to protect consumers from unfair, deceptive, or abusive practices, and we take action against bad actors. Also, as demonstrated by today's webinar, we arm people with the information and tools that they need to make smart financial decisions. Next slide. I now hand today's webinar over to Carmen Cruz.
Thank you, Carmen. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Hello, my name is Carmen Cruz, and I work in the Office of Financial Education here at the Bureau. My primary role is an outreach specialist to special communities such as libraries and the limited English proficient community, otherwise known as the LEP community. Today, I plan to highlight some of the offerings the CFPB has in languages other than English. Under normal circumstances, I like to present in person, in a conference setting or at a session. However, these days, things are far from normal, and with COVID-19, many companies and families are having to make adjustments to their norm. So hopefully, I'll still be able to engage you and convey the CFPB's commitment to consumers. In the next slides, I will provide information about the resources we created in response to COVID-19 crisis. The CFPB is committed to providing consumers with up-to-date information and resources on how to manage their finances during the pandemic. The CFPB and other regulators have encouraged financial institutions to work with their consumers to meet their needs. We have created a central hub on consumerfinance.gov with resources and blogs. Also on this website, you will find relevant financial education resources from other government agencies. In the next slide, you can find content and topics including credit and debt management, student loan repayment, mortgage relief options, scams, banking tips, and a guide to COVID-19 economic stimulus relief, among many other topics. The resources are available in English and are also available in Spanish, Chinese, both traditional and simplified, Korean, Vietnamese, and Tagalog. In the next slide, I would like to take time to talk about additional offerings we offer at the CFPB outside of COVID and the pandemic. First, I'd like to speak about CFPB in Espanol. This landing page is almost identical to our English offering. You'll find consumer tools, such as Ask CFPB, which is a database of over 1,100 financial FAQs. You'll find a place to submit a complaint and much more. In the next slide, you will see the languages that we have offered our consumers. There are 41 million immigrants in America, and many of whom prefer to still manage their money and conduct day-to-day activities in their native language. Using the information from the Census Bureau and our complaint database, we determined which of the top languages are spoken in the United States, and then we translated our materials into those languages. The languages we chose were Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, Tagalog, Russian, Arabic, and Haitian Creole. In the next page, on the next slide, you will notice on consumerfinance.gov, there's a language ribbon on the top right corner. You can point and click to the language of your choice, and you'll be led to our language pages. There you'll see our top 13 publications in said language and our top 5 COVID-19 blogs. Some of the blogs are tips for financial caregivers and be aware of scams during COVID. On the next slide, you'll see where we created 4 newcomers guides, which we translated into 8 languages. Some of the guides are ways to receive your money, a checklist for opening an account, ways to pay your bills, and selecting financial products and services. These guides were created due to people coming from different countries and not being really familiar with our financial system. So the guides will help the LEP consumer with information they need to make the best financial decisions for them and their families while living here in the United States. On the next slide, you will see where we offer bulk ordering of our publications. We acknowledge the fact that you all are probably at home and not in your offices and may not be ordering at this time. However, it's important for us all about how you can order publications by bulk once everything is back to the new norm. If you notice, in the yellow box there, you'll see the language drop down. If you click there, you'll see where we offer all of our languages, and when you select a language, it will take you to that page, and then you will then be able to choose which publications that you would like to order. The publications are free, mailing is free to you, they're in color, and they're delivered to your doorstep and ready for you to place them on your shelves. Our publications are not only available in print, but they're also available online in a downloadable PDF. You can feel free to download those and make copies if you're still waiting for our delivery. There's no copyright infringement. This is the government, so anything that we have, you're able to make copies of and distribute at will. Also, just make note that each of our publications, you are able to bulk order up to 1,000 copies per publication. On the next slide, you will see that we created audio files for people who prefer to listen and learn. So we took our 6 most ordered brochures and we made audio files in 8 different languages. Look for the audio file icon, and then you can either listen to them online or download the MP3 file. Moving to the next slide, I'd like to talk about the glossaries that we created in 2015. The glossaries are financial terms that we frequently use when creating content here at the CFPB. We translated those terms into Spanish and into traditional Chinese. Last year, we expanded the glossaries from 250 words and terms to now where they contain over 1,200 financial words and terms. We did this in coordination with other agencies and organizations who also had glossaries. Those agencies were FHFA, the FDIC, DOJ, IRS, the FTC, the Social Security Administration, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, GSA, and the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. This year, FHFA has expanded the offering from not only Spanish and Chinese to Vietnamese, and by the end of the year, they hope to have Korean. I want to stress the use of the glossary is voluntary only, and it is not guidance from the CFPB, nor is it guidance from any other federal regulator. We are asking that you just use this as a tool because the main goal is to maintain consistency throughout publications and content around finance. We hope that each American is able to pick up publications from these agencies and see that the same words are being translated and the same messages being transferred to each person. With that, I'd like to go ahead and hand it over to my colleague, Ina, in the Office of Financial Lending.
Thanks, Carmen, and thanks everyone for joining. My name is Ina Kugarinas, and I am a Senior Counsel in the Office of Fair Lending and Equal Opportunity, which, among other things, is the office that coordinates the Bureau's fair lending work. Today, I'd like to highlight a couple of the Bureau's fair lending resources, which are the Know Your Rights brochures on lending discrimination. They describe the protections of the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, or ECOA, including the categories based on which lenders are not allowed to discriminate against borrowers. Those categories include race, religion, national origin, and sex. The brochures also outline the types of credit to which ECOA applies, for instance, home loans, car loans, credit cards, and student loans. In addition, the ECOA brochures provide tips to help consumers protect themselves from discrimination, including highlighting the importance of conducting research into products and shopping around for rates. They also contain warning signs of discrimination. For example, being treated differently in person than you were over the phone, or hearing a lender make negative comments about race, national origin, or other factors, or being discouraged from applying for credit. The brochures include links to resources consumers can use when they believe they've been victims of discrimination, including the Bureau's Consumer Complaint Portal. There are two types of ECOA brochures available on the Bureau's website. One is for consumers, and one is for entities such as housing counselors that work directly with consumers. Currently, both types of brochures are available in English and Spanish, and links to those materials are shown on the slide. The brochures will soon be available in the following additional languages: Chinese, Vietnamese, Tagalog, Korean, French Creole, Arabic, and Russian. So we encourage folks to check the Bureau's website for those updates. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jill.
Thank you, Ina, and thanks so much to everyone around the country for joining us today. It's really exciting to see so much interest in serving multilingual audiences. I'm Jill Wheeler. I serve as Special Populations Advisor in the Office of Community Affairs. Our office focuses on economically vulnerable consumers, which includes people with low incomes, low wealth, and people who experience a wide range of barriers in access to financial products and services. We focus on providing resources to strengthen the capacity of organizations, agencies, and practitioners who typically work with people in one-on-one settings. For example, many of the people who use our resources are frontline social service staff, such as case managers, legal aid service providers, housing counselors, financial coaches, and others working in similar settings. I'll briefly introduce you today to our suite of financial empowerment tools called Your Money, Your Goals. Next slide, please. Your Money, Your Goals is a set of tools, information, and resources that's designed to help practitioners provide the right content at the right time with the people that you serve. To be clear, this is not a curriculum that expects people to go in sequence from one topic to the next, but rather a toolkit approach to meet the immediate needs and interests of the people you serve, so you can pull out the right topic at the right time. The materials were designed with rigorous field testing on the ground with practitioners and input from people who use these resources every day. The materials take a non-judgmental approach to discussing and learning about a wide range of money topics. They're designed to lay out the information, help people know their rights, and understand the options so that people can make their own decisions based on their unique situation and their own needs, values, and goals. You'll see that the materials, particularly the toolkit, incorporates a lot of tips, advice, and suggestions on using them in different types of contexts. So, for example, we'll include suggestions if you're meeting with a client for 10 minutes, for 30 minutes, or if you might see someone during repeat visits over a longer period of time. The central resource in the suite of materials is the toolkit, which you see in the upper left-hand side of the slide. The toolkit is available in English, Spanish, and Chinese. An additional small colorful booklet behind on bills is available in English and Spanish, called Atrasado en los Pagos. You'll notice that we also have a wide range of resources for other special populations, including companion guides for Native communities, reentry or people with criminal records, and for serving people with disabilities and their families. All of these materials are available online through the link in the bottom left of the slide, through our main website, consumerfinance.gov. Under the Practitioner Resources tab, you'll see Your Money, Your Goals. Materials can be ordered in print copies through the system that Carmen mentioned earlier. Through this webpage, you'll see that we have available in the printed copy of the toolkit in Spanish and behind on bills in Spanish. The Chinese version is only available for download. And since these materials are fairly large and heavy and extensive, they're generally available in smaller batches of 25 to 50 copies, or if you need a larger set, you can email our team directly at the address that'll be coming up in the presentation. You'll see that in the downloads, it's a PDF format, and the individual tools, there are about 40 of them in the booklets, are in a format so you can fill in the information online. They have auto-calculate functions, so you can complete the material online if you prefer and then print it out, or you can print copies and fill out by hand or share with the people that you serve. I do want to note that the Spanish and Chinese versions of the toolkit were last updated in 2016, so we do recommend that if you're looking for very specific technical details regarding laws that might have changed or addresses that might have changed, that you cross-reference the English version of the toolkit that is more updated. But the general tools and content in the toolkit is available in those other languages for download. If you are serving people in other languages, we hope you'll be pleased to see the way the materials are designed using many universally recognizable symbols or icons as prompts. So these are designed to help overcome language and education barriers. In addition to the main toolkit, we have the Behind on Bills booklet that I mentioned and the smaller booklets that are colorful, portable, engaging set of money management tools that are designed a little more in workbook style that you may have people take home and complete, or people may keep on hand to use over time. If we could go to the next slide, I'd like to highlight the 9 main modules in the toolkit covering a wide range of common financial topics. In the introductory section, there are a number of pieces related to having the money conversation, which can often be challenging to dive into the details or approach the topic in certain settings. So there are some tips and prompts and suggestions for getting into that conversation for practitioners who may be less familiar or less comfortable with the topics. The module 1 on setting goals is one that we find very popular, and currently in the pandemic context, we see many people working to revisit their goals or adjust or change goals and expectations and adapt based on current financial situations and challenges. So those tools can be helpful in the current context. The toolkit covers other standard topics, including saving, tracking income and benefits, paying bills, cash flow tools to help look at the flow, incoming and outgoing expenses, and to factor in the timing of any public benefits people may be receiving. Additional topics include dealing with debt, which includes materials on what to do if you're contacted by a debt collector, templates and information to help respond, and also information to help avoiding scams related to debt collection. The credit report module has been very popular, and we understand that many people may be concerned about credit reports, concerned about avoiding scams or errors on credit reports. So that module offers tools to help people understand where they can go to request free copies, how to carefully review credit reports, and how to dispute or correct any errors that may be found on credit reports. The module on choosing financial products and services includes tools that may be particularly helpful for people who are opening new bank accounts or considering new financial services. It provides tools to help lay out the options, help people think through the pros and cons of different products and how they would be most useful or most helpful given their situation and needs. And the final module on protecting your money helps people to avoid scams, deal with identity theft, and avoid financial exploitation. A few of the most popular tools in the recent context have included a tool on prioritizing bills when money is tight, helping people to make sure that they can assess the trade-offs between paying some bills versus others. So even though one may be getting more frequent calls or higher visibility, it will help lay out what is the risk of not paying certain bills. Could I end up losing my housing or my transportation, or how do I protect my basic needs for food and supplies? Other frequently requested and used tools are around income and expense trackers, bill calendars, comparing products and services, avoiding scams, and credit reports. If we could go on to the next slide, please. I'd like to mention an upcoming training opportunity. Throughout the year, we have a variety of training opportunities, and in the next few weeks, we'll be sending out an invitation that's open to the public and is targeted at practitioners serving people in one-on-one settings. We'll be holding a webinar series starting in early June for several weeks, and once each week we'll cover 1 to 2 modules of the toolkit. So if you're interested in receiving information about the materials or signing up for training opportunities, you can visit the website consumerfinance.gov/yourmoneyyourgoals, and you can subscribe for the specific email list there, or for other questions about these training opportunities and resources for practitioners, you can email our team at yourmoneyyourgoals@consumerfinance.gov. So now I would like to turn it back over to Shaba to lead the question and answer session.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of today's presenters. We hope that all of you listening found this webinar to be helpful. We will now move to the Q&A portion of today's session. Again, to submit questions, please utilize the chat box or the Q&A box. Select all panelists and then click Send Question. We will try to answer as many as possible with our remaining time, and of course, if we are unable to address your question specifically, please email the Office of Public Engagement at publicengagement, that's one word, at CFPB.